Imagine that everything you have ever been taught about truth is only a fragment, a shadow of something far greater. What if the greatest spiritual masters in history were not teaching different paths, but pointing to the exact same truth? Think about this for a moment. How is it possible that Jesus, Buddha, and Lao Tzu, separated by distance, culture, and time, arrived at teachings that echo the same mysterious essence? And what if understanding this hidden connection could completely transform the way you see yourself, your purpose, and the very nature of reality? Stay with me, because what you are about to uncover is not just philosophy, it is a revelation. And the final insight we will reach is the most powerful of all, one that has the potential to change how you experience life itself. Before we go deeper, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with someone who is seeking truth, and tell me in the comments, do you believe all spiritual paths lead to the same source? Because what you are about to discover may challenge everything you thought you knew. There is a thread, invisible yet undeniable, running through the teachings of these three masters. Jesus spoke of the kingdom of God being within you. Buddha taught that enlightenment is not something to be given, but realized through deep awareness. Lao Tzu described the Tao as the eternal, nameless force that flows through all things, something that cannot be grasped, only experienced. Different words, different symbols, but the same direction, all of them pointed inward, not to temples, not to rituals, not to external authority, but to something silent, something vast, something already present within you. Why? Why would three of the greatest spiritual minds in human history guide us away from the external world and toward the inner self? Could it be that the truth we seek has never been outside? Or even more unsettling, could it be that we have been conditioned to look everywhere except where the answer truly is? Throughout history, scholars like Carl Jung explored this idea, suggesting that the deepest truths are embedded within the human psyche itself. Philosophers of the perennial philosophy, such as Aldous Huxley, argued that all authentic spiritual traditions share a single, universal core. Even ancient Hermetic teachings whispered the same principle: as within, so without. So let me ask you, when was the last time you truly looked within, not at your thoughts, not at your identity, but at the awareness behind them? What if that awareness is the key? What if the one truth shared by Jesus, Buddha, and Lao Tzu is not something to believe in, but something to experience? And what if everything you are searching for has been waiting for you in silence this entire time? In the next part, we will begin to uncover the first layer of this truth, one that may completely reshape your understanding of who you are. There is a subtle but profound shift that happens the moment you stop searching outside and begin observing Peter. Jesus expressed it clearly. The kingdom of God is within you, not in the future, not in some distant heaven, not reserved for the chosen few, within you. Buddha, in his awakening, discovered something equally radical. He did not become something new. He removed illusion. He saw through the layers of desire, fear, and attachment, and realized what had always been there. Lao Tzu, in the Tao Te Ching, spoke of returning to the source, to a state of natural harmony, where the mind no longer resists the flow of existence. Three paths, one direction. But here is where it becomes uncomfortable. If the truth is already within you, why don't you experience it? Why does life feel confusing, chaotic, and disconnected? The answer, as these masters suggested, lies in illusion. Not illusion as something mystical or supernatural, but illusion as misperception, a false identification. You have been taught to believe that you are your thoughts. Your fears define you. Your past defines you. Your name, your story, your successes, your failures, all of it becomes your identity. But what if that identity is not who you truly are? This is where the teachings begin to converge with striking clarity. Buddha called it the illusion of the self, the idea that what you call I is nothing more than a collection of changing experiences. Jesus challenged the ego through surrender. Whoever loses themselves will find themselves. Lao Tzu spoke of dissolving the self into the Tao, becoming like water, formless, adaptable, free. And modern thinkers like Eckhart Tolle echo this same realization. that the voice in your head is not your essence. It is a construct. So let me ask you something deeper now. If you can observe your thoughts, who is the observer? If you can notice your emotions, who is aware of them? There is something within you that remains unchanged while everything else shifts. Thoughts come and go, emotions rise and fall, identities evolve, but awareness remains. This is the doorway, and yet most people never step through it. Why? Because it requires letting go of everything you think you are. It requires silence, stillness, and the courage to face what lies beneath the noise. Many avoid this space because it feels like emptiness. But what if that emptiness is not absence, but infinite potential? What if, hidden beneath the layers of conditioning, there is something vast, peaceful, and deeply connected to everything? Mystics throughout history have described this state, not as something gained but something remembered, a return, a recognition, a realization that the separation you feel between yourself and the world may not be real at all. In the next part, we will go even deeper into the most misunderstood aspect of this truth, the illusion of separation and how breaking it changes everything. There is a question that has echoed through the minds of seekers for centuries. Are you separate from the universe, or are you an expression of it? At first glance, the answer seems obvious. You feel separate. You have a body, a name, a personal history. You exist here, while everything else exists out there. But what if this sense of separation is the greatest illusion of all? Jesus hinted at this when he said, "I and the Father are one," not as a statement of exclusivity, but as a revelation of unity. Buddha dissolved the boundary between self and existence, teaching that all things arise together, interconnected, interdependent, what he described as dependent origination. Lao Tzu spoke of the Tao as the source of everything, flowing through all forms, yet belonging to none. Different languages, same realization. There is no true separation, only the appearance of it. Modern science, in its own way, has begun to touch this same mystery. In fields like quantum physics, researchers observe that at the most fundamental level, everything is interconnected, particles influencing one another across space in ways that defy classical understanding. Philosophers like Alan Watts often describe the human being not as a separate entity, but as something the universe is doing, in the same way a wave is something the ocean is doing. So let me ask you, if you are not separate from existence, what does that mean for the way you live? What happens to fear when there is nothing outside of you to threaten you? What happens to loneliness when you realize you were never truly alone? What happens to control when you understand that life is not something you fight against, but something you flow with? This is where the teachings of these masters become deeply transformative, because the illusion of separation is the root of suffering. When you believe you are separate, you feel incomplete. You chase, you resist, you compare. You fear loss because you think something can be taken from you. But when that illusion begins to dissolve, something extraordinary happens. You no longer experience life as a constant struggle. You begin to trust. You begin to flow. You begin to see beauty not as something external, but as something arising from the same source that you are. This is what Lao Tzu meant by effortless action, moving in harmony with the Tao. This is what Buddha embodied in equanimity, remaining undisturbed by the changing tides of experience. This is what Jesus expressed through unconditional love, seeing no separation between himself and others. And here is the deeper realization. If there is no separation between you and the whole, then the truth you seek is not somewhere else. It is what you are, not your personality, not your story. But the awareness behind it all, the presence that experiences everything without being limited by anything. So why is this realization so rare? Why do so many people hear these words, yet never truly grasp them? Because understanding this truth is not enough. It must be lived, it must be experienced directly. And that requires something that most people resist, letting go. In the final part, we will uncover the most powerful insight of all, the one that transforms this understanding into a living reality and reveals how you can begin to experience this truth for yourself. Now, we arrive at the most powerful realization of all. The one truth that Jesus, Buddha, and Lao Tzu shared is not a belief, not a doctrine, not something to be accepted blindly. It is something to be realized directly. You are not separate from the source of all things, and the truth you seek is already within you, as awareness itself. But here is where everything changes. Knowing this intellectually will not transform your life. You can study scriptures, memorize teachings, analyze philosophies, and still remain trapped in the same patterns, because this truth is not meant to be understood by the mind alone. It is meant to be experienced. So how do you begin? Not by adding more knowledge, but by removing what is false. Jesus pointed to this through surrender, letting go of the self you think you are. Buddha revealed it through mindfulness, observing without attachment until illusion dissolves. Lao Tzu expressed it through simplicity, returning to your natural state, free from resistance. 3 approaches. 1. Realization, and it begins with something deceptively simple. Awareness. Right now, as you listen to this, there is something aware of these words. It is not trying, it is not struggling, it simply is. That awareness has been with you your entire life, before every thought, before every emotion, before every identity you have ever assumed. It has never changed, and yet you have rarely noticed it. Why? Because your attention has always been captured by what appears within awareness, instead of awareness itself. Thoughts, distractions, endless noise. But the moment you turn your attention inward, something shifts. You begin to see that you are not the voice in your head. You are not the story you tell yourself. You are the silent presence behind it all. And in that realization, there is a profound sense of peace, not because the world changes, but because your relationship to it does. Fear begins to lose its grip. Attachment begins to soften. The constant need to control begins to fade. And in its place, something deeper emerges. Clarity, stillness, a quiet sense of unity with everything that exists. This is what the masters were pointing to, not a path to follow, but a truth to awaken to. So let me leave you with this. What if, for just a moment, you stopped searching? What if you stopped trying to become something and simply observed what is already here? Who are you without your thoughts? What remains when everything else falls silent? If this message resonated with you, take a moment now. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with someone who is ready to awaken, and tell me in the comments. Have you ever experienced a moment where you felt completely present, completely connected, beyond thought? Because that moment, that silent, aware presence, may be closer to the truth than anything you have ever believed. And perhaps it has been with you all along.